By day and night he wrongs me. Every hour he flashes into one gross crime or other that sets us all at odds. I'll not endure it. His nights grow riotous, and himself upbraids us on every trifle. When he returns from hunting, I will not speak with him. Say I am sick. If you come slack of former services, you shall do well. The fault of it I'll answer. Put on what weary negligence you please, you and your fellows. I'd have it come to question. If he distasted, let him to my sister, whose mind and mine I know in that are one, not to be overruled. Idle old man, thou would still manage those authorities that he hath given away? Now by my life, old fools are babes again, and must be used with checks as flatteries when they are seen abused. Remember what I have said.
This admiration, sir, is much of the savor of other your new pranks. I do beseech you to understand my purpose aright, as you are old and reverend, should be wise. Here do you keep 100 knights and squires, men so disordered, so debauched and bold, that this our court, infected with their manners, shows like a riotous inn. Epicurism and lust makes it more like a tavern or brothel than this graced palace. The shame itself doth speak for instant remedy. Be then desired that else will take the things she begs. A little to disquantity your train, and the remainder that shall still depend to be such men as may besort your age, which know themselves and you.
Detested kite, thou liest! My train are men of choice and of rarest parts, that all particulars of duty know, and in most exact regard support the worships of their name. Oh, Lear, Lear, Lear! Meet at this gate, but let thy folly in, and thy dear judgment out. Here, nature, here, dear goddess, here, spend thy purpose if thou did intend to make this creature fruitful. Into her womb convey sterility, dry up in her the organs of increase, that from her delicate body never spring babe to honor her.
Life and death! I am ashamed that thou hast power to shake my manhood thus. That these hot tears, which break from me perforce, should make thee worth them. Blast fogs upon thee. The untented woundings of a father's curse pierce every sense about thee. Old fond eyes, to weep this cause again, I'll pluck you out and cast you with the waters that you lose to temper clay. Yea, it's come to this. Let it be so. I have another daughter, who I am sure is kind and comfortable. When she shall hear this of thee, with her nails shall flay thy wolvish visage. Thou shalt find that I'll resume the shape which thou dost think I have cast off forever.
Glamis thou art, Anne Carter, and shalt be what thou art promised. Yet do I fear thy nature. 'Tis too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way. Thou wouldst be great, art not without ambition, without the illness should attend it. what thou wouldst hiding, that wouldst thou wholly, wouldst not play false, and yet wouldst wrongly win? Thou'st have great glums, that which cries, thus thou must do if thou have it, and that which rather thou dost fear to do, than wishest should be undone. Hie thee hither, that I may pour my spirits in thine ear, and chastise with the valor of my tongue all that impedes thee from the golden round, which fate and metaphysical aid doth seem to have thee crowned withal.
If it were done, when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch, with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here. But here, upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come. But in these cases, we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions, which, being taught, return to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poison chalice to our own lips. He's here in double trust. First, as I'm his kinsman and his subject, strong both against the deed. Then, as his host, who should against his murder shut the door, not bear the knife myself. Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels, trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off. And pity, like a naked newborn babe striding the blast, or heaven's cherubim horsed upon the sightless curves of the air, shall blow the horrid deed, and every eye that tears shall drown the wind.
Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since, and wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely? Art thou to fear to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire? When you durst do it, then you were a man. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man. Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and their fitness now does unmake you. I have given suck, and to know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me, I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums, and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this.
This is a dagger, which I see before me. The handle from my hand. Come, uncouch thee. I have thee not, but yet I see thee still. Art thou not fatal vision, sensible feeling as a sight? Art thou dagger of the mind, a false creation, proceeding from the heat oppressed brain? I see thee yet, in form as palpable as this which I now draw. Thou showest me the way I was going, and such an instrument I was to use. Mine eyes are made the fools of other senses, or else where's all the rest? I see thee still, and on thy blatant touch and gouts of blood which was not so before. There is no such thing. It's the bloody business which informs dust to mine eyes. I go, and it is done. The bell invites me. Hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell.
Now I but chide, but I should use thee worse, for thou I fear hast given me a cause to curse. The sun was not so true unto the day as he to me. Would he have stolen away from sleeping Hermia? I'll believe as soon this whole earth may be bored, and that the moon may through the center creep and so displease her brother's noontide with the Antipodes. It could not be, but thou hast murdered him. Thou hast drivest me past the bounds of maiden's patience. Hast thou slain him then? Henceforth never be numbered among men. Tell true even for my own sake. Durst thou have looked upon him being awake, and hast thou killed him sleeping? O brave touch, can not a worm and adder do so much? An adder did it, but with doubler tongue than thine. Thou serpent, never adder stung.
And run through fire I will for thy sweet sake. Transparent Helena, nature shows art, that through thy bosom makes me see thy heart. Where is Demetrius? Oh, how fit a word is that vile name to perish on my sword. Content with Hermia? No, I do repent the tedious minutes I with her have spent. Not Hermia, but Helena I love, who will not change a raven for a dove. The will of man is by his reason swayed, and reason says you are the worthier maid. Things growing are not ripe until their season, so I, being young, till now ripe not to reason, and touching now the peak of human skill, reason becomes martial to my will, and leads me to your eyes, where I look love's story, written in love's richest book.
Spite! Oh, hell! I see you all are bent to set against me for your merriment. If you were civil and knew courtesy, you would not do me thus much injury. Can you not hate me as I know you do, but you must join in souls to mock me too? If you were men as men you are in show, you would not use a gentle lady so. To vow and swear and superpraise my parts, when I am sure you hate me with your hearts. A trim exploit, a manly enterprise, to conjure up tears in a poor maid's eyes with your derision. None of noble sort would so offend a virgin and extort a poor soul's patience, all to make you sport.
My mistress with the monster is in love. Near to her close and consecrated bower, while she was in her dull and sleeping hour, a crew of patches, fruit mechanicals, that work for bread upon Athenian stalls, were met together to rehearse a play intended for great Theseus' nuptial day, the shallowest thick-skin of that barren sort, who Pyramus presented in their sport, forsook his scene and entered in a break. When I did him at this advantage take, an ass's knot I fixed it on his head. Anon his Thisbe must be answered, and forth my mimic comes. When they him spy, so at his sight away his fellows fly. And at our stamp here o'er and o'er one falls, he murder cries, and help from Athens calls. I led them on in this distracted fear, and left sweet Pyramus translated there. When in that moment so it came to pass, Titania waked, and straightway loved an ass.
But stay, O spite. Look, Mark, or night, what dreadful door is here? Eyes, do you see? How can it be? O dainty duck, O dear, thy mantle good. What? Stained with blood? Approach ye furies foul. O fates, come, come, cut thread and thrum, quail, crush, conclude, and quell. O wherefore nature didst thou lion frame, since lion vile hath deflowered my dear, which is No, which was that fairest dame, that lived, that loved, that liked, that looked with cheer. Come, tears confound, out, sword and wound, the path of Pyramus, I, thy left path, where heart doth hop, thus die I, thus.
Must I go show them my unbarbed sconce? Must I, with my base tongue, give to my noble heart a lie that it must bear? Well, I will do it. Yet were there but this single plot to lose, this mould of marshes, they to dust should grind it, and throw it against the wind, to the marketplace. You have put me now to such a part, which never I shall discharge to the life. Away, and possess me some harlot spirit. My throat of war be turned, which choir with my drum, into a pipe, small as a eunuch, or a virgin's voice that babies lull asleep. A beggar's tongue make motion through my lips, and my arm knees, who bowed but in my stirrup, bend like his who hath received an alms. I will not do it, lest I surcease to honor my own truth, and by my body's action teach my mind a most inherent baseness.
You common cry of curs, whose breath I hate, as reek of the rotten fens, whose loves I prize as the dead carcasses of unburied men that do corrupt my air, I banish you, and here remain with your uncertainty. Let every feeble rumor shake your hearts. Your enemies, with nodding of their plumes, fan you into despair. Have the power still to banish your defenders, till at length your ignorance, which finds not till it feels, making but reservation of yourselves, still your own foes, deliver you as most abated captives to some nation that won you without blows. Despising for you the city, thus I turn my back. There is a world elsewhere.
My name is Caius Marcius, who hath done, to thee particularly, in all the Volsces, great hurt and mischief. Thereto witness made my surname Coriolanus. The painful service, the extreme dangers, and the drops of blood shed for my thankless country are requited. But with that surname, the cruelty and envy of the people permitted by the dastard nobles, who have forsook me, hath devoured the rest, and suffered me by the voices of slaves to be whooped out of Rome. Now this extremity hath led me to thy hearth, not out of hope, mistake me not, to save my life. For if I feared death, of all the people in the world I would have avoided thee, but in mere spite, to be full quit of those my banishers, stand I before thee here.
Oh, then I see Queen Mab has been with you. She is the fairy's midwife, and she comes, in shape, no bigger than an agate stone, on the forefinger of an alderman. Drawn by a little team of atomy, over men's noses as they lie asleep. And in this state she gallops night by night, through lovers' brains, and then they dream of love. On courtiers' knees, who dream on curtsies straight, or ladies' lips, who straight on kisses dream, which oft the angry mad with blisters plagues, because their breaths with sweetmeats tainted are. And sometimes comes she with a tithe pig's tail, tickling a person's nose as he lie asleep. Then dreams he of another benefice. Sometimes he driveth o'er a soldier's neck, and then he dreams of cutting foreign throats, of breaches, ambuscadas, Spanish blades, of healths 5 fathoms deep. And then anon, drums in his ear, at which he starts and wakes, and, being thus frighted, swears a prayer or two and sleeps again.
But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. Oh, I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. 2 of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business to entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eye was there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars as daylight doth a lamp. Her eye in heaven would through the airy regions stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. 'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What's Montague? It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face. Oh, be some other name belonging to a man. What's in a name that which we call a rose by any other word would smell as sweet? So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, attain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doff thy name, and for thy name, which is no part of thee, take all myself.
The clock struck 9 when I did send the nurse. In half an hour she promised to return. Perchance she cannot meet him. That's not so. Ugh, she is lame. Love's herald should be thoughts, which 10 times faster glides in the sun's beams, driving back shadows over long hills. Therefore do nimble-pinioned doves draw love, and therefore hath the wind-swift Cupid wings. Now is the sun upon the highmost hill of this day's journey, and from 9 till 12 is 3 long hours, yet she is not come. Had she affections and warm youthful blood, she would be as swift in motion as a ball. My words would bandy her to my sweet love, and his to me. But old folks,
and I fain as they were dead, unwieldy, slow, heavy, and pale as lead.
Shall I speak ill of him that is my husband? Ah, poor my lord, what tongue shall smooth thy name when I, thy 3 hours' wife, have mangled it? But wherefore, villain, didst thou kill my cousin? That villain cousin would have killed my husband. Back, foolish tears, back to your native spring. Your tributary drops belong to woe, which you, mistaking, offer up to joy. My husband lives that Tybalt would have slain, and Tybalt's dead that would have slain my husband. All this is comfort, wherefore weep I then? Some word there was, worser than Tybalt's death that murdered me. I would forget it fain, but, oh, it presses to my memory like damned guilty deeds to sinners' minds. Tybalt is dead, and Romeo banished. That banished, that one word, banished, hath slain 10,000 Tybalts.
Oh, my love, my wife, why art thou yet so fair? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous, and that the lean, abhorred monster keeps thee here in dark to be his paramour? For fear of that I still will stay with thee, and never from this palace of dim night depart again. Here I will remain, with worms that are thy chambermaids. Oh, here will I set up my everlasting rest, and shake the yoke of inauspicious stars from this world-wearied flesh. Eyes, look your last. Arms, take your last embrace. And lips, O you the doors of breath, seal with a righteous kiss a dateless bargain to engrossing death. Come, bitter conduct, come, unsavory guide, thou desperate pilot, now at once run on the dashing rocks thy seasick weary bark. Here's to my love. O true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus, with a kiss, I die.